What up, Jersey?
How many people here know the Gary Vaynerchuk?
Thank you.
How many people here have been provided what he loves to call, and I think is so appropriately identified, value from his content?
Thank you.
If you don't know Gary...
Before we do that, let's clap it up for this fucking day. How nice is this? That's the real star of the show. Forget the panels. The fucking sun came out.
And that brings us to our first question.
Yes.
Gary talks about knowing his audience.
Yes.
There's a varied group of attendees here.
Yes.
Corporates, maybe some kids.
Yep.
And we're cursing.
Yeah, I always curse. I like
know.
cursing.
We've talked about this.
Yes.
If you could prevent it, would you?
I mean, look, I've been on TV 200 times. I haven't cursed. I understand it's inappropriate. And I'm not unaware that like 20 people just now are like, oh, that's off color. I don't like that. And I respect that. I have empathy for how I'm consumed. It's just when I see this many people, I default into that. I default into my Jersey stuff. I default into what Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor did that I was obsessed with as a kid. So that's just what happens. And at some level, and I think a lot of you know this, like at some level in life, whether you got lucky like I did at a very young age or when you're 90, or somewhere along the line, you start realizing that it's not about who cares what other people think. It's if you feel good about your intent and don't think you're trying to do something wrong, you have to let the chips fall where they fall. And so for me, that's what it is. It's I'm not upset or disappointed or confused why somebody doesn't like the bravado or the cursing. I just have made a choice that I'm not trying to do anything wrong. It's how I communicate, and you just have to move forward.
And I'm not criticizing you. I'm thinking about there are strategic relationships of potential opportunities.
I know how to make
here.
money. I'm never scared of losing money.
Have you ever lost a deal because of the language?
100%.
Yes.
Yes.
Didn't care.
Nope.
Where are you from originally?
Because it's a net score, right? Like I think, this is a good thing for a lot of the entrepreneurs and business people out here. Way too many people play in what's only in front of them without understanding the net score. So 7 years ago, I started an agency that was selling people something they didn't want. It wouldn't have been hard for me to figure out how to sell PR or television or SEO, but I didn't want to because I knew where the puck was going. I knew where social was going. And so I was okay with losing deal after deal after deal in 2009, 10, 11, which I did, because I knew I was affecting the people in the room with my thesis, and I knew that I was gonna be right. And now in 2016, 17, 15, a lot of those same people who laughed me out of the room, who thought I was wrong, are coming back and giving me a lot of money because I played out to be right. So in the net of a decade, I won, even though maybe I lost in that year or two or three.
So you have the good fortune of being more right than wrong.
Yes.
Most people are more wrong than right.
That's why I'm sitting up here.
And
that's just true.
That's the game.
That's the game. That's right. By the way, and you know what I love? That if I do my videos and spew my shit, and for the next 2 years, I'm just wrong, then I don't deserve to sit up here. And so I love the meritocracy of that. I'm not sitting up here because I'm cute or I'm cool. I'm sitting up here because I've been right enough and I bring people value in that rightness if they decide. I've had 40 people in the last month email me that they've made tens of thousands of dollars being a Snapchat filter designer when they had $8 in their bank account. That's why they want to drive from Philly and see me. Right? That's why. Not because I'm clever, because I realize that if I can bring more value than I take back in return, then I'm valuable. And I think that people are way too short-sighted and are looking for short-term results and are not looking to provide that and are looking at it from what's in it for me. And that's just not how I see it, because I don't think business is a one-year game. If I did, by the way, let me save you time. If you start seeing my behavior cashing in and trying to extract, then you know that I've decided in 24 or 36 months, it's a wrap, right? That I don't need it anymore. But doing the right thing up front always brings long-term value.
So tell people you had a book launch, right?
Yep.
There was a lot of lead up to,
yes.
to the
I was
jabs.
selling hard for 3-4 months.
Tell people about if they haven't read the book, in a minute or less, what's the jab and when's the appropriate time to bring the right hook?
Oh, so you mean the jab, right hook? it's a thesis I believe in. Give value, give value, give value, and then ask. I think a lot of you out there that do know my stuff, some of you have confused it as give, 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 and then take. I've had a lot of people ask me why they didn't convert, and when I look at their tactics, it's because they're trying to take, they're not asking. So for me, if you've watched every video that was free, if I emailed you back 4 times, if I responded to you 6 times on social, if I shook your hand 4 times here, and then book number 5 comes out and you decide not to spend that $18, I'm not crippled by that. Because I don't think any of my actions that I'm doing entitle me to anything from you. I think what they entitle me to is a solid ask that feels appropriate, but if I convert, that's really up to the quality of what I'm delivering for you at that moment. And I think that way too many people are entitled. I think way too many people are entitled. I think way too many people complain. It just is what it is. The market doesn't care, right? Like the market, the game doesn't care where you grew up, or your mom didn't do this for you, or you don't have any good developers around you, or it just doesn't care. It's the market, and you have to adjust to that. And so I equally do that. When you're at the top or doing well, you're only as good as your last at bat. It doesn't matter that I've been good at business for 20 years. If I suck in 2017 and 18, I'm gonna lose.
So there's the whole ethos of Propeller is what we say, idle ideas don't fly, right? And there's a lot of people who I wonder are sitting in maybe a cubicle and watching your stuff, getting all fired up, but not taking their ideas to the next level. What do you tell those guys? Some of those guys, by the way, feel like maybe they can't take the risk. Maybe they've got young kids at home. They don't have the financial wherewithal.
I tell them that I respect them and I understand. And I tell them to do the best job they can to try to feel what it might feel like in 30 or 40 years if they don't at least try. I think regret is the scariest feeling. And I think if you really analyze 70, 80, 90-year-olds that lost a lot of money, don't have a lot of money, versus ones that are okay but have a lot of regret of never going for it, it's a pretty interesting conversation. Even the cameraman here is giving me a little love on that shake. Like, it's an interesting conversation that when I look at an 80-year-old who was middle class but loaded with regret because he didn't have the guts to go for it, versus somebody who didn't have a lot of money and had a struggle and things of that nature, like, it's just funny. The person with regret feels more in pain. And I try to talk about that because I just think it's real. And then, I had a video recently go quite crazy on Facebook that I was talking to 22 to 25-year-olds. I think it's extremely practical to be high risk in the first 5 years out of college, even with debt sitting there, because at 27, 28, you're more than welcome to get that standard, stable job and just chip away with it. But at that first 5 years, you can go after all your dreams and ambitions and thoughts and needs. And so it's an interesting theme what people react to. I think a lot of it has to do with regret, and I think my intuition about being an old soul and spending time with older demo people has given me some vibe that makes me say, shit, it doesn't matter what you think when you're 20, 30, 40. It matters, but you're making decisions on how you think you're gonna feel at 60 and 70, and if you actually listened to 60 and 70 and 80-year-old people, it's just not how it plays out. So why don't you figure that out and reverse it back?
What do you think about startups are hot shit right now? You got a lot of young kids and older people raising capital. But what do you think? Do you think it's over?
I think it's
celebrated.
It's definitely over celebrated.
Welcome to Propeller.
Like it's the most over celebrated thing going on right now. Like, yo, I'm a founder. Cool. Like, you raised a lot of money. You've never accomplished anything. Like I'm an entrepreneur is like saying I sing songs, right? Like. But do you make money singing songs? Are you Beyonce? Like, just because you're an entrepreneur doesn't mean anything. And everyone's like, yo, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm like, cool. Are you a winning entrepreneur? Are you a money-making entrepreneur? Like, will you be an entrepreneur in 4 years when the economic meltdown comes? Or are you gonna be working at JP Morgan? So I think shit's ugly. I think a lot of people I just met will be out of business because they don't have a business. They have an idea and they're trying to raise money. Money's getting tighter. It's about to get real tight in the next 5 to 10 years. Nobody knows. It can happen tomorrow, but it's coming. There's a lot of indicators of like China's propelling up the global economy, like faking it. Like, it's coming. It's coming. And so if you're in the audience right now with your startup, I'm gonna give you one really good piece of advice. I truly believe it is. Start figuring out how to make money. Because if you're sitting right now and you burn, and your life depends on raising your next round or your first round, You are extremely vulnerable, and I highly recommend, and I don't care how bright the sun is shining, and I don't give a shit how delicious the Red Bull fucking tastes. You better get real fucking practical right now, because shit's coming down.
Red Bull.
Because, let me tell you why. Because you have to understand what happens next. And this is happening this happens every 10 years. What happens next is you go and get a job. Like, stop being not practical. And then, I mean, like, it's just unbelievable. And there's plenty of people with jobs, and I'm not saying, I mean, I love jobs. I've always had a job. Like, being the founder of a business that doesn't make money is losing, not winning. Until you've turned it into making money, you're losing. And all of you think you're winning. Why? Because you said you were a fucking founder?
Let's talk. So listen, let's dig in on that, though, because I know one of the things you love to reference is one of your early calls that Instagram was a cheap buy, right?
Yes, that I took a lot of fucking heat, that it was $1 billion, I was stupid, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
And how much revenue did they bring in when they were bought?
0.
Exactly. So how do you differentiate? Like, there are guys out here.
There was fucking 100 million people using it in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
You got 100 million users on your fucking dick shit app?
But it starts with one.
If you do, good, you won. Come talk to me, I'll give you more money.
I love getting Gary fired up.
No, but I mean, what's the difference between Instagram and my shit? 100 fucking million users of the product,
but
asshole.
They started with one.
You got like 4 fucking, yes, they started with one, but in fucking 4 minutes, they had 50,000, 400,000. Like, you've been at it for 18 months and nobody gives a fuck. It's time to rethink that shit.
But that's the heart of my question. For people who have ideas that don't have built-in revenue models, how long do they go before they say, you know what, I'm not Instagram?
I'm not fucking Nostradamus. I have no idea. Here's what I know. I know that the first thing you should do is stop lying to yourself. I wish I was the quarterback of the New York Jets in 6'4". Guess what? I'm not. And way too many people here are hoping and dreaming that they're an entrepreneur. If you are in your mid to late 20s or older, and you've never really made money, and I mean slinging blow pops in 6th grade, I mean burning music on a CD and flipping it, I mean fucking ghetto fucking entrepreneur shit, and now you're 26 and you've never really made money, you're in trouble. Like, you've got to understand who you are. Guess what? The 41st person that worked for Facebook made a fuckload more money than most anybody else. There's way too many of you sitting on the grassy knoll right now that would be unbelievable number 4s, 7s, 18s, 32s, and could make a lot of money, be happy, have great work-life balance, not deal with the insane pressure and the fucking suicidal thoughts and the depression and the fucking, I don't want to, everybody in my family said it wasn't going to work, now it's not going to work, they're going to be right, and I'm going to have to eat that shit for the rest of my life. All that shit, if you just deployed some self-awareness up front and didn't get romanced by entrepreneurship being the cool thing. And I'm very passionate about that because right now it's all fine and ha-ha, Gary's making funny jokes. Yeah, he's saying it straight, cool. You have to understand, there's an enormous amount of pain on the back end of this. It's real. It's emotional pain, it's financial pain, and that scares me. And I want to talk about it because it's real. And it's not because I'm right or because I'm winning and you can't. It's because it's data. Just look what's happening. Look what's happening. Every trend of what's getting funded, who's winning, who's going out of business, looks exactly like the early 2000s, looks exactly like the mid 2000s. Like it's here. It's here. And just like every other time, it's one event. It's one big startup that none of us think could go out of business, closes its doors, right? It's one report that scares every VC out of their skin. And that's it. And so it's not like, go get a job, you suck. It's how practical are you? Like, are you just dreaming?
How many people, of the number of, I mean, every time we've met, there's a line out the door if people want to pitch you ideas. How many of those percentage-wise are good? Do you think are investable or have legs?
1%.
And that sounds high. So what do those other 99 guys do?
I mean, listen, you have to understand, just because you're a human being doesn't mean you're entitled to be a successful entrepreneur. They do what everybody else does in every genre. You want to be an NFL player and an NBA player, you try, you're not good enough, you do something else. You want to be a famous actor, you go to LA, you wait tables, you try to be on a show, it doesn't happen, you do something else. I don't know what they do, like something else, but they're not going to build $1 million business. Guys, Do you know how many million-dollar businesses are actually built that sustain? Like, the data is not in our favor. And I'm not trying to be cloudy in this sun. I'm trying to save people some money and some heartache and create some upside. This is just practicality. Like, it's just data. We're not talking about it. And listen, a lot of you know my spiel. I'm not excited to talk about this. I'm happy-go-lucky. I'm positive. I'm crush it. But I'm fucking telling you the truth. It's just here right now. And what that means, by the way, let me explain. A lot of you have businesses that actually can be successful. The problem is you have 17 employees when you should have 5. A lot of you have businesses that could be successful, but you want to have a nice office, right, in Soho instead of being somewhere shitty. Right? Like, a lot of you can have businesses that are successful, but you come to fucking Propeller and waste time instead of building your business.
What? No. Not that last part.
That last part. And all the other shit. Like, are you building a business? Like, you better fucking work tomorrow. And the only reason some of you will is because it's gonna rain. Because if it was like this today, tomorrow, you'd all be somewhere. And that's just losing. And that's happening at scale.
So let's talk. So look, right? One of the things that I promise people here is that we will help save them time in building their businesses from listening to guys like you and the 100 other speakers that we have. Okay. So I'd argue that point a bit, because I do think you need to stay connected and stay educated and stay on your A game.
Yes, but you have to have a foundation of something.
But there's a million entrepreneurs, right?
Yes.
How many 25-year-olds come up to you with a cool idea, looking for a check and thinking that they're going to go buy this fancy Soho office?
Of course. And by the way, a good percentage of them are going to win. I hope you're sitting there and getting mad at me and saying, fuck this guy. And I can't wait to get your email saying, oh, you said I wasn't going to win at Propeller. I built a $100 million business. Respect. Great. I want that. I hope every fucking person looking at my face right now wins everything. Money, life, health. Great. I want that more than anybody. Why not? Be the greatest. I just think there's an enormous lack of practicality right now.
All right, let's move in the positive direction.
That was
got an
positive.
Idea.
That was the positive direction.
Let's move more in the positive direction.
That was the positive.
Let's follow up on that and keep that train going.
I think that's positive instead of people pontificating here like, yeah, we're all going to fucking do it.
This is straight. Unfortunately, most
I think that's
people here
negative.
aren't going to.
I think that's horseshit.
Yeah, that's the whole point here, right? Expose people to what works and what doesn't work so that they can fail faster.
Okay.
So if somebody here has an idea,
yes.
Step 1.
Build it.
When do they fund it? When do they call you? When
Never.
do they go to Vayner RC?
Never if they can pull it off. Why give up your business if you can build it? Build an app and get a job on a side hustle and fucking make money and put it back into your business. It's easy to raise money. And what's funny is a lot of you are like, fuck, I'm struggling. Well, then you really suck.
The struggle's real. When was the last time you were depressed about entrepreneurship?
Never.
Never?
No, because it's my calling. It's the only thing I ever wanted. It was why I was depressed in school my whole life. This was the game I was born for. This is all I know. I would suffocate if I couldn't do this. I love when bad days are. Yesterday was a shit day. The shit. Fucking shit. Like 21 hours.
Hey, how was yesterday?
Shit. Like, so many bad things happened yesterday. Yesterday was shit. Like, on like terrible. But I loved it.
Business or personal?
Business. But like, it's great. Like, it's much better than fucking doing something that I don't want to do.
But, I mean, there must be times when maybe you don't feel depressed, but you feel the struggle, right? You feel like yesterday.
The struggle? Every second.
Right. So you wake up today, right? What keeps you going? What keeps you jumping out of bed?
I have no other option. This is my oxygen. I wasn't into other shit like you were. This is all I ever knew. I'd fucking pick flowers and sell it at 4. Lemonade. My hobby in the summer was washing people's cars.
How many people here did stuff like that? Wash cars, lemonade stands, hack shit at school?
And so, you know, like, that's how they're wired, like me. Like, that's all you knew. Like, my brain never thought, like, oh, let's go play Nintendo. My brain was like, yo, let's go buy a Nintendo and sell it. I'm going to rent cartridges. Like, that's just all I've ever knew. I don't have another gear. I'm fucking basic. I'm one-dimensional.
I think that's awesome. I think that's why you're so celebrated, right? But there's a lot of people here who aren't wired that way, and I don't think we want to.
And they're lucky. This sucks.
But we don't want to discourage them. There's some.
I'm not discouraging them. I just said they're lucky. Like, I wish. Do you know how much I wish I wasn't so insane? Like, do you know how much more fun it would be? Like, I would be thrilled to leave 20% of the money and the action and the selfies on the table for a couple more vacations to watch. It'd be fun to know what the fuck's on Netflix. You know, like. I wish, I'm not, by the way, I'm not joking. I'm not telling people to be like me. This isn't great. This is just who I am.
Let's talk about that self-awareness, right? Because that's the key to this. You are authentically you.
Yes.
And I think the key point here is we're not saying be like Gary.
No, I'm saying be like you.
Yeah, and how do people find that? How do people find that thing that's authentically them?
I don't know. I really don't.
How do they know when it's not?
The results.
There are some people who will be authentically themselves in a shitty business and it won't work.
Great. They may have everything else going for them.
And you tell those guys what? Try
Mazel
again?
tov.
Get it?
No, I mean, what do you mean? Like everything's going great for you, but you can't build a business? Great. Get an awesome job that you like and your life is fucking set.
How many times should people, this here today is a result of 15 years of hustle with one good business and a dozen failures. I kept at it, and I think we got something pretty special here.
Yep.
A lot of people don't keep at it.
Right.
When do you know when to throw in the towel?
I think that's a personal question for everybody, right? There's family dynamics. You may have a parent pass away. It might be a good thing, like you've hit a zone where you're content and this is what you want. I don't think, to me, that, you can see my tone has changed, I think is a very personal question. It's hard to judge. I'm sure there's plenty of people who gave up 1 month before after doing it for 3 years, and that next month was gonna be the moment, and that's sad. But I think we all know there's so many people that have gone too far and too long, and that hurt them. I think that comes down to self-awareness and looking at results. Here's what I would say, guys. It doesn't matter what I just said for the last 20 minutes. It doesn't matter the reverse of my argument for the last 20 minutes. It's a constant storm to try to figure out what you're about, and you change. At 26, you're all about the hustle, you're gonna be a billionaire, this and that, and then you go to the bar one night and you fall in love. And it changes what you care about, right? And then you have a child, and then this happens, and then that happens. Things change. You just have to always consistently try to figure out what's driving you, and not because other people are watching, and not because that's what your dad wants, and not because that's what you said was gonna happen, and it doesn't look like it, and your family's gonna judge you. You just have to be as real with yourself as possible, and that is a very difficult struggle, but when you're not, you create enormous vulnerability and unhappiness.
And that could be very problematic personally on the home life, right? I mean, how do you balance that?
Over communication. Lizzie and I talk, and I never give people relationship advice, and people ask me all the time because a lot of you know that I work so much, and everybody has different relationships, and I have to over communicate with my wife and understand how she's ticking and what's making her happy and what's not, and what she said last week is irrelevant to tomorrow. People are like, oh, you said you were gonna support me. That was 2 years ago, and things change. And so it's a constant stream of communication, no different than what you should be having with your employees and your partners, and you do that with your spouse and your partner and things of that nature.
What's the average time you get home at the end of each day?
11 p.m.
And you're offline weekends?
Yes.
Does that work?
Yes, so far, but it might change. And the kids are getting older, and it's not working for me. One of the biggest things that I want to change going forward is coming home around dinner and eat with them and then go back out. And so that's something for me. It evolves. It evolves. I'm taking 7 weeks vacation now instead of 2. That's a lot. That's a big change for me. That it evolves. So between weekends and 7 weeks vacation, it's not like, I don't know, that seems like I feel lazy.
Yeah, man, you got to pick up your game.
I'll try.
How do you stay? So you mentioned, you don't have time for Netflix, you don't have time for this other stuff, but how do you balance the time to figure out?
But I have time for the Jets for 7 hours,
we know that.
16 times a year on a Sunday. Everybody needs escapism. You have to understand, and it's a great opportunity with a lot of people watching for me to clarify this. I'm not judging you if you're watching House of Cards and play Madden all day. I'm judging you if you're complaining that you're not successful professionally and doing that all day. Got it? That's the distinction. Do you? You know how many people are very happy making $45,000 a year and surfing every weekend, making $200,000 a year, and I'm not. Who the fuck am I to judge you? I'm judging the people that email me every day saying my shit's not working, I'm not lucky, I don't get it, and then are watching full seasons of House of Cards, playing Madden all day, taking the entire weekend off. I didn't take any of my weekends off for the first 15 years of my career. So, I'm just so you know, all the venom is for the complainers. You're good, you won.
How do you stay though with the curve, right? Like how much time, so number one, right? I think this is one of the best pieces of advice, most practical you give. Checking the top 100 apps in the App Store every single day. You still do that?
Every day.
You do it today?
Yep.
See anything interesting?
Nope. only see something interesting once or twice a year. That's the point.
And what's your first move when that happens? You reach out to the founder?
Attack. Yeah.
Yeah?
Phil Toronto on my team, go dig into this, get me all the information, set up a drinks with the founder, find out if anybody invested, set up with them, audit, all in, all fucking chips in, audit.
Made any VR investments yet?
No, but one's brewing.
What do you think of that? Where's it going?
I think people are going to lose a shitload of money betting on VR consumer over the next 5 years. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity in B2B. And I think 15 years from now, VR is going to be a beast.
We've got the CMO of the Devils here today.
Great.
Who's going to put headsets on Devils masks so people can at home buy tickets and watch via VR. What do you think?
I don't think it's going to happen.
I hope he's not here yet.
He won by doing it because he wants the press around doing it. And that gives awareness to the brand, and that's a good KPI. But do I think everybody here is going to watch the Devils game next year on VR? I do not.
What do you think they'll do?
And when I say everybody, this is an early user crowd, right? You're at Propeller. I don't think a good percentage of you will do it. I definitely don't think a good percentage of Ricky Thompson, who knows nothing about tech, is going to do it. And that's when I care. I care when Ricky Thompson knows about Snapchat. I care when Sally Arkansas cares about Snapchat. Not when nerd fucking McGee's on it.
I think he's here. Nerd, where are you? But what do you say? What do you think is the number one use case? And I'll bring this up because I think.
Oh, dude, it's gonna take. By the way, VR is the only potential arbitrage to the internet. It's the next platform. It just might be 15, 20. What's it gonna affect? Life, shopping, entertainment, gaming, all dating.
Yeah. You know what you're leaving out though? The number one thing that tends to push tech advancement is porn, and that's where VR is being pushed right now.
I can't fucking wait for VR porn.
Would you invest in that?
Maybe.
Just to get the free headset?
Yeah. No, I just think consumer, even porn, I think is further away than people. Like, look, consumer behavior is underestimated. Guys, only 20% of products are bought in e-commerce. Like, we're still buying in stores. In 1996, when I started WineLibrary.com, 1997, if you told me that in 2016, only 20% would be e-com, I would have made fun of you. You don't see the future, you don't get it. It takes time for behavior to change. For you to sit at home and live your lives through that world or spend a meaningful amount of time will take time. I actually believe it will happen, but I think it's gonna be I think headsets will never be at scale, ever. Meaning, by the time it's at scale, we'll be on contacts or some other version. I don't think we'll ever have mass headsets at home doing VR. Mass, like everybody. Maybe, but I don't see it. I think it's going to take too long, and there'll be advancements on the headsets. I got to go, right?
Yeah, we do. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
The ethos of the New Jersey Tech Meetup and the ethos of this event is about helping each other out.
Great.
What can we do? What can people here do today to help you out?
Nothing.
That's not true. You can't leave here until you think of something.
0. I'm super uncomfortable with the ask. I don't want anything from you right now, and that makes me happier than coming up with some bullshit ask.
What could they do for themselves that you believe in wholeheartedly that will make you feel good?
Do something nice for somebody else that brings them value without having expectations with something in return, which is something most of you can't do.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Thank you, guys.
Hold on, buddy.
Thank you, guys.